Thunderboy Jr. by Sherman Alexie and illustrated by Yui Morales is a vibrant and heartwarming story that follows the spirited Thunderboy Jr. as he embarks on a quest to find his special place by carving out his identity in this world. I am so excited to dive into this book. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeva Edmonds, and you are listening to the Cultural Curriculum Chat podcast and viewing on you, Mrs. Edmonds Cultural Corner. It's a mouthful. You'll get used to it. And if you are new to my channel and my podcast, we deliver all things multicultural educational practices and strategies for the classroom as well as in inclusive workplaces. And for today, we are talking all things by dreaming the biggest dreams in this book here, Thunder Boy Jr. by Sherman Alexie and illustrated by Yui Morales. And if you have seen a previous episode of mine, click back a couple episodes after this one. I do a whole new book review on Dreamers, written and illustrated by the same illustrator, Yui Morales. So I want you to check that out after this episode. So let's dive into it, friends. Thunderboy Jr. is just so sweet. It talks about this young boy named Thunderboy Smith after his dad, Thunderboy Sr. He's Thunderboy Jr. And he is an adventurer. He loves it. He calls himself Thunderboy, but his real name is Thunderboy Smith. And I quote, he talks about how he got his name. His dad gave him his name, but he talks about how his mother wanted to name him a different name, Sam. And he thought and thought and thought, and he said, you know what? Sam is a normal name. Sam is a good name. I like Sam, right? I would love for you educators to have this as your launching pad when you talk to your students about their name. And it's okay after you read the book and maybe some students don't know the meaning of the name, have a list of names and have them pick out a name from your list to find the meaning behind it. And that just opens up that inclusivity, culturally responsive lens of thinking about, hey, if you don't know what your name means, let's find a name on this list that interests you to find out what that name means. And then when you go home, maybe you want to ask your grown-up what your name means too, but it's not a requirement. It's just something fun, a really fun activity. And so this book talks more about how nobody on this earth, as he says, is named Thunderboy who has ever lived. That's what his dad had said, or so you think. But of course, he's a junior named after his father. He compares his name and he talks about how his dad's name is called Big Thunder and he gets Little Thunder. So he feels like, what is so great about being little, right? And your students are going to get a kick out of this line, this sentence, because it goes, that nickname makes me sound like a, I quote, burp or fart, end quote. Yeah, your students are going to laugh about that one because you say those naughty kind of words. But then he talks in depth about his mother and his sister's names and how it sounds so, sophisticated and fancy. But then he talks about how he has a secret. And then he says it. I hate my name. Raise your hand if you have felt that way. So many students that have different sounding names might have felt that way too. I wouldn't say I hated my name, but I was kind of like, well, who else has my name? And it took me a while to really grow into my name and the meaning of it. It means lots of love in Vai, in my tribal language. And I thought, you know what? I am full of love. I love people. I love to read. And I grew up to really appreciate my name. And you know what? It's also my company name. I'm just saying. But I love how the author talks about how so many students, especially students in the indigenous community, might not feel like they want to have their name. They might feel that they might be teased, and a lot of them are teased. And, and how it made them feel of, I want to have ownership in how I name myself. So there's so many, conversations you can have with your students with this book. I love how Thunderboy Jr. talks about how he loves his dad. He doesn't want to have his name be sullied because his father is so great and he emulates his dad. But he also wants you to read about the things that emulates him and his personality. He talks about how he touched the orca on the nose. He goes, maybe I should change my name to, and I quote, not afraid of 10,000 teeth. Right? He also talks about climbing a mountain and changing his name to something in that realm. And it keep going on and on about once he dreamed the sun and the moon were his mom and his dad. He goes, I like Starboy, and I quote. And he talks about his adventures and going to garage sales. I mean, I love the pictures. It really depicts Thunderboy Jr.'s behavior in life, and it depicts his personality, it depicts his energy, it depicts him goofing around with his dog and honoring his culture by going to powwows, and how he is a grass dancer and the importance and significance of that. So I just love this book, how he does touch on being full of wonder. And there's another fun secret, but I'm not going to give it away because I want you to get this book. It comes into play of why he was named Thunderboy Jr. And his father bestows a whole new name that brings them even closer together. This book is just tugs at your heart. And I love how you can get this book to have a launch pad of your cultural sharing activities in your classroom, and the importance and the findings of your name, and even have an activity. If you weren't named the name that you have, what name would you pick, right? If I had a choice, I would have named myself Janet, as in Janet Jackson, because she is my favorite icon of all time. Yes, I said it. So, Jebba Janet, it has a nice ring to it. So think about some really fun activities that you can do and lessons with Thunderboy Jr. This book is really sweet. And like I said, I'm not going to give it away too much because I really want you to go in and get this book where books are sold. And I also want you to join our diverse book community and discover a world of inclusive literature that I have vetted and reviewed. I've got hundreds of episodes on my channel, but I really want you to subscribe so you can get lots of books and titles. And even if you have some suggestions of a book you'd like me to review, put it in the comments and I'd be happy to get that title, read it, and share it with the rest of you. And I really want you to get more of our insights on our podcast and our channel by, unlocking the secrets of cultural responsive learning and why a diverse classroom library is important. I have so many other episodes that I want you to binge watch today. And of course, share and find this book, Thunderboy Jr., written by Sherman Alexie and Yui Morales as your illustrator. And I will see you here same time next week on the Cultural Curriculum Chat podcast and Mrs. Edmonds' Cultural Corner. See you next time. Bye-bye.